Jacob here. Today we're going to be taking a look at Drake's very own exploration ship, the Corsair. One of not so very many asymmetrical ships. We'll of course talk further into this ship as we go. From initial impressions, it does seem very multi-role, as is obvious, in that it does have a reasonable cargo bay, competing with that of ships such as the various variations of the Freelancer, as well as the Constellation series, not just in cargo capacity, but also weapons. I've researched the Corsair a decent amount, and so what I say here is backed by research. What I don't mention here either means there is no evidence of it, or I simply didn't find this research, or didn't feel the need to mention it. As always, see the chapters for whatever you are interested in, not to mention my own dose of speculation and theories, as always. However, for now, let's roll the intro. As all ships I currently overview are concept ships, not only can you not fly them as of the upload date of this video, you also can't buy them from the pledge store whenever you wish. This means you'd have to buy this from the grey market, should you be looking to acquire one immediately, or to wait until IAE coming very shortly. While this ship is currently in final art, if you have this ship in your collection already, your current loaners are the Connie Aquila and the Drake Buccaneer. This makes sense given the Buccaneer is Drake, not to mention the Aquila being an exploration ship. The current price of the Corsair is currently 215 credits, of course a little less for Warbond at 195. With that in mind, were you to go hunting on the grey market for the Corsair, you'll be paying a markup fee of course. This is the only option for those looking for LTI, other than ship packs. The Corsair hasn't had a price increase as of yet it seems, given it will likely release for IAE patch, it will likely get an increase at this point. The Corsair is an impressive ship. It boasts impressive weapons, components, and general features overall. We'll start from the rear of the ship. Clearly this area is meant to fit a vehicle, specifically an Ursa rover, and of course anything in similar enough size. Here is also where the 72 SCU of cargo space goes. So you'd want to decide of course what's suitable for you and your voyage. It is an exploration ship at the end of the day, so a rover may be more ideal for the most part. There is some interesting internal design features in the cargo hold, where the wings and engines are attached from within the cargo hold. The Cutlass has a very similar design feature, which effectively allows it to have VTOL, where its engines, entirely rotate. With the Corsair's asymmetrical design, the Corsair is likely not able to have VTOL, although if we don't already know, people will find out shortly. Not to mention, the current specification doesn't actually mention VTOL. Moving slightly forward, you also have the so-called state-of-the-art scanning suite. Doesn't honestly sound very Drake to me, but sure. In this very same room is all the various components for the ship, so your shield generators, your power plants, etc. We'll touch on that later, of course. I did initially wonder what exactly this room here is for. I did initially think the lift was here. However, more recent updates indicate that the lift has been moved further forward toward the front of the ship. Perhaps this area could have been initially something similar to that of the MSR, where it has a secret cargo space hidden from authorities. That could play quite nicely into the general lore of Drake, which seems interesting. Although with more videos and images revealed about the ship in recent months, it would seem this particular room I'm referring to is actually an airlock. Moving slightly forward yet again, you have the kitchen and living quarters. This is pretty standard for that of Drake, other than the bedrooms are private per individual, whereas in other Drake ships, say the Caterpillar, sleeping quarters are typically shared. This is also where the lift from the ground will be as a result of recent updates. Not only does it come up from the ground, but it can also go through the roof, if you're interested in having a picnic on your ship. Moving slightly forward yet again, you come across two turrets on the port and starboard sides of the ship. These are nicely accessible from the living quarters just before. With that in mind, the pilot's quarters are slightly past the turret access for ease of access to the pilot's seat. What does impress me most of all is it can actually sleep the required crew, of which being a pilot, co-pilot and two gunners. I've begun to notice ships can't sleep the maximum crew, which is a welcome bonus, especially for that of Drake. In the case of other ships, like say the Idris, this is likely due to having alternating shifts for ship crews. In this last section of the ship, we have a feature here whereby the co-pilot will move under the pilot. This is partially as a result of how the Cutlass Black worked and the drama behind that to ensure the co-pilot actually had visibility through the front. Moving on to components, the Corsair features a medium radar and computer, as well as a small computer, two medium power plants, coolers, shield generators, fuel intakes, and fuel tanks, as well as a medium quantum drive, jump drive, and two medium quantum fuel tanks. I do find it somewhat odd that the Corsair features a separate small computer to a superior medium computer. I'm unsure of the idea behind this at present. This potentially has something to do with the scanner suite, maybe. However, time will tell. It may well not be present at all. The interesting addition is two medium quantum fuel tanks, which I don't believe is common on most exploration ships. Moving on to weapons. Now, when it comes to Drake, typically their armor isn't as good to that of, say, Anvil or Aegis Dynamics. So as a result of this, the Corsair has bigger and better guns. To be clear, there seems to be a few revisions on how the weapons will be for the Corsair, so the specs are maybe not entirely accurate, but of course, they will be more so now given that the ship is somewhat close to its release. So the pilot's guns are 4 size 5 fixed weapons, meaning size 4 gimbals. At least that is what the case seems to be until CitizenCon, where there was further footage released of the Corsair, where it removed this turret from underneath at the front to make it what looks like a bigger variation of the starboard and portside turrets. The pilot also controls the two size 4 weapons on the left wings, the small Nemo wings, I'm going to call them.
How's the lucky fin? Lucky. Let's see.
On the other wing will be 4 racks of size 3 missiles, with 2 missiles in each rack. That's quite the Alpha Strike if you ask me. The turrets on either side appear to be size 2 weapons, given that these turrets are player controlled. Size 3 would be a bit more worthwhile of a player's resource. Moving on to the floor plan, I'm sure I've shown this already to an extent. However, looking more from above, it does seem quite reasonable in how this has been designed, where you can get from the front to the back in literally a direct line. They have moved where the lift was going to be, as mentioned. However, this doesn't affect anything in regards to that direct line, but does improve things from a design and testing perspective, according to Cloud Imperium. Now to summarize, there are a lot of people waiting for the Corsair. A great many people are excited for this ship for various reasons. It is effectively a replacement for ships such as the Constellation series, the Mercury Star Runner, and the Freelancer series. Although sadly I do feel it replaces a number of ships from said series of ships, rather than actually directly competing with them. From how I see it, the Corsair is literally going to be the jack of all trades, where it can do exploration, it can do cargo running, all while packing a bigger punch for the most part. Its main competition, and perhaps only real competition, is going to be the Constellation Aquila. The Aquila boasts more cargo storage and only marginally reduced offensive capabilities, where the manned turrets on the Aquila are size 2 compared to the Corsair's size 4. The Aquila does have a much higher quantity of smaller sized missiles compared to the Corsair. Perhaps that evens the playing field. Apart from in typical Drake style, the hull won't be as strong compared to one made by RSI. With this in mind, does having stronger weapons truly make a ship such as the Corsair stronger, Only time will tell, of course. To conclude, it looks incredible. The progress is incredible. Best of all, this is basically already here. The Corsair was looking to be released initially in the middle of August, according to the progress tracker at the time. Clearly, this has been delayed to an extent, as to be expected. It seems the Drake Corsair will be releasing during IAE, and so we should be able to look at it with our own eyes, of course. On to other updates, I originally wrote this script back in June to add to my previous set of uploads at the time. Things had to change at the time, and things have changed yet again. My work life sadly had to come to a temporary standstill, and so I've had some more time to pay attention to the channel. I don't know how long that will last, hopefully not long, just for my own good. However, I stumbled upon some automated tools to make things easier and faster for me in producing this content. Put this into perspective, this voiceover was done only on the 16th of November at about 4 p.m. All being well and good, I hope to continue to do a regular upload pattern, but it's hard to say at this point. What I do hope for, though, is to have some uploads going up during IAE. So, for example, there's going to be a MISC video before the MISC day. There's hopefully going to be an Anvil video before the Anvil day, but we'll see. Thank you ever so much for watching. Today's video sponsor, as always, is the like button for the almighty YouTube algorithm goodness. That'll of course allow this channel, this community to grow with your support. Obviously don't forget to comment or subscribe if you haven't already. I generally try to upload, as of right now, monthly, so be sure to check back. My name is Jacob, thank you, and goodbye for now.